Yo, what's up, everybody? Bren here, back with my boy Gambler. Explosive last few days since we've been on stream. I hope everybody's having an amazing fucking day. Gambler, how you doing, brother?
Yo, what's good, Brian? What's good, everybody? Love to see the chat heating up. Yeah, man, things are cooking. Bitcoin back 09. We got Mod cooking, Fartcoin cooking. A lot of the coins hype. A lot of the coins we discussed last show, and looking forward to getting into it today.
Hell yeah, brother. I think your Wi-Fi's lagging a little bit, but I'm sure it'll bounce back. But I see everybody in the chat. What's up, Tom? What's up, Stan? What's up, Soul? Blessed Tuesday chat says Soul. Booby, what's up, brother? Uh, Brand can, yeah, for sure, brother. I will after the stream. But yeah, hope everybody's having an amazing week so far. Bitcoin absolutely fucking exploding out of this corrective channel we've been talking about on the streams, right at all time highs. We're going to talk about what I see coming next. How the path to 150K, how it's going to happen. We got coins like SPX, which has also been a huge staple on the show that we've been talking about all the way down, all the way back at all time highs at 1.61, $1.5 billion market cap. To me, this is one of the few coins that has a shot at getting up there with the Doges and Shibs due to the high mimetic ceiling and a bunch of other great stuff. So we're going to go over this, a lot of other great coins. Make sure a lot of other great coins, opportunities, NFTs, a lot of great stuff going on in DeFi, a lot of other great stuff. So make sure to like, comment, retweet, and so we can get the stream out to more people. But I want to hear. I always do this. I always like to see where everyone's at. I want to know where everybody's at in the world. Where are you guys tuning in? Is it daytime, nighttime? Um, Me personally, I know I'm on the West Coast in West Coast of the United States. That's where you're at right now, too, Gambler, right? Oh, he's offline right now. I think he's having technical difficulties. But yeah, explosive fucking move for Bitcoin. I remember last week, when Bitcoin was down in this corrective channel, there was still a lot of people, assuming that we're going to go back down to 70. I had several people send me this chart down here, a chart just like this, kind of depicting a top and us going back down to like $50,000 Bitcoin, literally after only a 5% move off of this high. And that just goes to show, most people are just focused on the last few days or weeks of price action. But to me, this was an obvious corrective channel. And as we're seeing here, getting a strong impulsive move out of there. And I think it's just the beginning. I think Bitcoin's going straight or pretty quickly will hit 150K. Anybody who's been around for a while, every time Bitcoin hits price discovery, it usually explodes. The last few times it's exploded above these multi-month corrections. Like in October 23, it went from 30 to 74. And this one went 150 to about 110. So just if we were to follow that trend of a 2x off of the corrections, that should put us right back at 150K, which to me, I think is going to happen extremely quickly because this time around, we're not sharing this. This time around, we have countries buying, we have huge institutions in the fold. And I think we're about to see, again, the most explosive, prosperous period that crypto has ever seen. So I'm fucking here for it. Of course, Bitcoin going to 150K. We should all be cheering on because what that's going to mean for every other coin is going to be it's going to be crazy. We're already seeing, like I said, SPX, absolutely popping off. We're starting to see coins like um, Giga, consolidating here. I think will also explode soon. I think this is just the beginning, and I think right now is the time to fucking lock the fucking like no never before. So shout out to you if you guys. I think, Gambler, you're back. Can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, perfect. I do see down there. It looks like your Wi-Fi is a lot stronger now. So,
Perfect.
um, fuck yeah. Membrane says Sound San Paulo, Brazil, 5:30 my time. Fuck yeah. Why does he keep doing that? Check the Cabal's pumping Aura. Yeah, I'll check Aura in a bit. Um, but yeah, Gambler. Last few days since we've been on the stream, you been adding to your bags at all? Just been sitting on your hands. What's been good with you?
Yeah, I picked up another one. I mentioned the Fearless Bulls last week as it's a collection on Sol that allows you to get exposure to different things on different chains through their JPEGs on Sol, and I've been using them to get exposure to Hypeo. So I picked up another piece, another 10% of a Hypeo at about when hype was about at like $33, which is now like 41. It hit a new all time high yesterday. Um, so that's up. So that's good. I like hype right now. Mog seems to be breaking out. It's up like 30% since we last talked about it on stream. Or excuse me, Fartcoin is up about 30% since we last talked about it. It went from 1 billion to 1.3, and then Mog also broke out back up over 400 million. Um, and then also the Fearless Bulls themselves, for what it's worth, when I talked about them here on the show, uh, they were at zero point 0.1 Sol, and they just ripped, which I have to believe. I mean, I can check in, I can jump into the Discord and see what's up if there's anything I missed, but I think it's just because of all the success they've had with Hypeo and that exposure that they've been getting, because it ripped 5x from when I talked about the Fearless Bulls. They went from 0.1 to they're at 0.5 now, so kind of cool to see. And yeah, I mean the biggest charts I'm watching right now are pretty much Hype, Fartcoin, and Mog. And I have been noticing, for what it's worth too. I mean, it seems like Sol's lagging pretty hard right now. Um, ETH up 7. I mean, everything's up today. Sol finally back to 160. It looks like it felt like it was taking forever to break back over that 150 level. Um, but yeah, that's kind of been what I've been paying attention to these last few days. A lot of green. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was all over the place, Bren. Didn't give you a chance to keep up.
No worries, brother. No, I appreciate you breaking that down. Yeah, no, ETH's been pulling ahead a little bit of Soul, but Soul super coiled up too. I think is bound to break to the upside too. Still what, like 50% almost off, pretty much exactly 50, a little bit more, 50% off the all time high. So yeah, I think Soul explodes, Bitcoin explodes, ETH explodes. Who knows what order it happens? But if we, whoever owns a bag of all of these things, which I think is really the move, it's just a waiting game. Like Max always says, like these things are going to dance at different times. So it's just about waiting it out. But yeah, ETH looks fucking amazing to me here. Again,
Yeah,
obviously this huge coil up here on the higher time frames it's coming out of, that started in May of last year. But just on the lower time frames too, also coiled up. And I think it explodes. I think it's going to go to 3,000 super quickly. And once it does break back above 4,400, I think it's going to remove that mental block that a lot of people have, that ETH
yeah,
is just fucked and going to continue to underperform. And again, I think it comes down to this massive, wave that's coming for crypto is actually going to be an adoption cycle this time, where the technology itself is going to be adopted by institutions and all these things. And I'm adamant that ETH is going to be the biggest winner of that, institutional adoption and everything. So, um, good point on Sol, but I do think it's going to blow back to the upside soon. You said so. Fartcoin, Mog, a few others. Hype are kind of your hype's not really
Hype.
me.
Yeah,
Um,
Hype's more utility, but yeah, those are the charts I'm kind of paying attention to right now.
oh yeah. Stand with crypto. Yeah, let's fucking go. But yeah, Fartcoin looks fucking amazing as well. I think it also is putting in this little bit of a correction here that we should expect at all time highs. But just like SPX, I could expect at Fartcoin probably just blow through 1.5 pretty quickly here. So
Yeah, they
uh,
just got a perps listing too. They got the spot listing, I think, last week, and I think more recently they got the perps listing on Coinbase.
on Coinbase, right? Yep.
Mhm.
Um, Ellie, I appreciate you for sharing the stream. Ellie, shout out to you. Shout out to Soul. Make sure to share the stream. But yeah, I think
Mhm.
what's going to end up happening here is, again, the majors are just going to pull away. I think it's quite amazing how checked out most people still are, despite prices moving up fast. I think we'll probably start to see that change here quickly as Bitcoin nears 150. But I don't know if you noticed that, like how quiet the timeline is. Not too many people like cheering. I remember last time Bitcoin hit 100K, it was like, or the last time Bitcoin hit an all time high, it was like timeline vibes were completely different. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, what do you think that is, Gambler? Like, have you noticed the same thing? And I mean, what do you attribute that to? You think?
I think a lot of crypto Twitter is just gambling, and they're in a lot of meme coins or they're in a lot of JPEGs, which I can absolutely relate to. I mean, that's been me oftentimes. Um, so when Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, a lot of people, we like to attribute it to normies. That normies won't touch Bitcoin because they missed it, and you know they should be. But the fact is that from what I see, that's true for a lot of people on CT as well. Not only that, but I feel like CT in general has just become very farmy. Like, I mean, think about all these the latest trend is InfoFi, right? We had the Laudio thing a week or two ago, which, to their credit, if you got on that pre-sale, you cooked. It was a point 0.2 Sol up to over $3,000 fiat at its all-time high. Now, if you held it, you round tripped it. But it was a win for many, and it was a win for the team, and it was a win for the influencers who were able to leverage their audience into a win. But before that, it was Cookie.gg, I think, and then now there's a new one, or I think the new one is called Clout, called .gg. So I think the timeline is just, I don't know. It's not the CT that we had last cycle, or definitely not the cycle before that. I feel like it's harder to find alpha on the timeline. I think a lot of people are distracted, and I think every day, unfortunately, as Bitcoin grinds higher, sorry for the train in the background, as Bitcoin grinds higher, I think CT is turning more and more into like normie zone. And I think you have to really be considerate about which accounts you follow, which streams you're tuning into, which groups you're in, and make sure that you're not the one getting farmed. Um, so, yeah, I think a lot of people are unexposed. Bottom line, I think a lot of people are unexposed to Bitcoin. I think they're chasing the next shiny thing, and that can oftentimes. The last thing I'll say is like that can oftentimes be a kind of like a disadvantage of being so quote unquote locked in all the time, because we're like staring at the screen right here and we see like everything that's happening when it's happening, where if we just took a few steps back, we would see that we would be just fine putting our majority of our bags in Bitcoin, Sol, ETH, rounding it out with a little bit of exposure to some of these other ones like Farcoin Mog. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been noticing. What do you think about that, Bren? Did I lose you?
My bad. I realize so I got to remember to unmute myself sometimes. What's up, Dylan? I see you in the chat, brother. I appreciate you, man. Can't stop me now. What's up, bro? Humbled Wine. Good day, Bren, Max, Gambler, and Max. What's up, Jeremy? Hope you're doing well, man. But yeah, no, I people have been saying for the last few months that everyone got wiped out, and for sure a lot of people were, and I definitely realized it. But now I'm just realizing that like a lot of people either got wiped out mostly probably that by the AI meta. And then a lot of people panic sold kind of the bottom. How many people are in my DMs, like good friends that have been in the space for like years, just like, should I be, should I sell everything? Every mog's down 80%, like all this stuff's down 80%. Should I be selling? I think a lot of people sold the bottom and kind of probably a lot more than any of these past corrections. So I think a lot of people are not going to FOMO back in until we're above 100, 120, 130, 150K. A lot of people are probably in disbelief with these coins too. I mean, SPX and Fartcoin are moving up, but a lot of these coins are still down 80, 90%.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people just, again, their entire analysis and their entire worldview on crypto is based on the last few days or few weeks of price action, right? And that's why if you're watching the stream, you're new to crypto, the last few months or even like a few years in, I think it's key. You have to create a thesis based on more than just what price is doing the last few weeks. It can be chart wise, it can be price action, but really the only way you're going to survive and not freak out and panic sell is if you have a conviction or a thesis that's based on way more than what that coin did the last few weeks, right? The reason I'm able to get so like have so much conviction on SPX, Giga, Mog, all these coins, despite them when they were down 80, 90%, is because I have conviction in the actual community, the actual supply distribution, all these other things other than the last few weeks of price action, right? So, yeah, I think a lot of people just need to see, unfortunately, need to see proof of coins going back up for them to really believe that the bull cycle or the bull period's back. But yeah, I think a lot of people got wiped out, unfortunately, and I do think a lot of those people are going to come back, just like a lot of people come back who continue to sports bet despite them being washed out
Yeah.
every fucking week. I mean, I remember my friends who like sports bet. I think everybody loses almost overall, but they do it because it's fun, and I think even more so with crypto. A lot of those people will be back, but I think a lot of people are really at PTSD, and it may take a bit more higher prices before we see a big surge of activity again.
Yeah, and then it's just like do the little things, right? Keep it simple. It's like don't. What's one of the first things we all hear? It's like don't bet more than you're willing to lose. Like if you have a bag that you don't need for rent next month, then and you've done the research that you just suggested just now, Brandon, you have that conviction. It should be you should have no issue holding. It should be just fine. You should be able to go across your day, touch grass, do all the things in your life that matter to you without stressing. And if you're stressing, a little stress is good, but if it's too much, if it's overwhelming, then you're probably overexposed, which you're not the first one and you won't be the last. Just take note. I think that's where we can use our emotions. Everybody says you shouldn't be emotional, but I think sometimes you should look at that and be like, okay, if I'm over emotional, what does that mean? Am I overexposed here? Should I kind of take my foot off the gas? But yeah, everything you said.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, emotions are going to come naturally. You're going to have to kind of numb yourself to, the fear is going to be there, especially, just a month ago, 2 months ago, like we're saying, everybody was freaking out. Like it was consensus to
Yeah.
think that we're going back to like 50K. So you're always gonna have to fight through that. But yeah, if you're really freaking out, like you can't even fucking sleep, like you're like Gambo was saying, if you're like losing sleep, you're probably overexposed. And you should be diversified, and you're probably too exposed in something that's super volatile. So
Mhm.
what's the next crypto cult to watch? It's a great question. We'll go over that in just a second here. Ellie says, "Hi, Brand, Gambler, and Max. Good to see you, everyone on stream. Good to see you, Ellie." M Brain says, "Wrong launch. The ticker's launch coin." Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask. This thing's down like launch coin. Launch coin is part of what's it called? The Believe app, right? Oh, 231 mil. Amazing.
Oh
That's
wow.
great to see. That's great to see this. It had a nice correction here of what, like 60%. Damn, I wish I was looking at this. Nice, super clean corrective channel that it's
Yeah.
coming out of. This is exactly what you want to see for new coins here is obviously huge explosive moves, but then nice 50, 60% corrections that they come out of. Every time these kind of corrections happen, it puts supply back into the hands of diamond hands holders, like these strong holders. And that's what you see in pretty much every single Bitcoin we're talking about, SPX, Giga, Mog. The one common factor that you'll find in all of these coins, if you look at their charts, is they all have been through these massive corrections, these massive 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% corrections and recover, right? And every time this happens, it puts the supply, the weak hands, the people who are panic selling, they usually sell to the people who are diamond hand holders who, are willing to hold 80, 90% drawbacks, right? And every time that happens, that strengthens the supply and it makes it more likely that the coin's going to be able to go to those high market caps, right? So that's why I'm so fucking bullish on Giga, SPX, Mog. Besides, like obviously the movements and the people themselves and everything, it's they've been through these corrections before, and every time that happens, it just strengthens the coin. So
Hmm.
to go back to launch coin, super bullish that it came out of this 60, 70% correction. Also did it multiple times here. Obviously, the move would have been to buy between February and April with this big consolidation. That's one thing, and I'm actually I put out another video in the Telegram yesterday. I don't think I'm sharing my full screen, but if you check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, I put out a video series that goes over the three different phases of the that every asset's in. One of them being peak, which is tops or bottoms. That video I'll have coming out in the next few days, but pretty much peaks or tops or bottoms, the number one thing that you'll have um, between all of them is most of the time is there's like days or weeks of consolidation. So as you can see here, Believe app after coming down this massive 90% correction, it did consolidate for about 2 months there. If you believed in believed in the launch coin, like that would have been your time to buy. Like if I was looking at this and I was really keen on launch coin,
Mhm.
that's where I would have bought. And if you bought there, obviously you're up over 10x here, more than that, right? Yeah, 100x. Is that 100x? Wow. Wow, that really 100x in 2 months. Amazing. Uh,
Wow.
but yeah, that's really what you want to be seeing is these big corrections, 60% corrections, and they just keep moving up. Um, and yeah, I mean, have you really messed with Believe app at all, Gambler? You bought any coins on there? Or?
Now, man, I'm sidelined, absolutely sidelined to this. That chart is ridiculous, though. I'm gonna have to start paying attention.
Yeah, no, for sure. 323 million. 232 million. I could see this thing going to a billion, and yeah, I'm bullish on the launch pads that allow people to create tokens easier. I think people are going to look back on, I don't know about Believe app. I haven't really used it, but the one Coinbase is doing and all these other ones, I think are just good for the industry. They allow people to spin up tokens easier. So
And
uh,
so, Launchcoin is the native token of the Believe app.
yeah, Mbrain can tell us in the chat, but I believe it's every coin that's created on Believe app, like integrate it somehow uses the launch coin.
Okay.
I think on if you go to their Twitter here, Believe app, it says believe in something, launch a project by tagging at launchcoin plus the project name.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, Mbrain could tell us exactly. I dove in like briefly. I don't know exactly how it works. You think coins launched on Launchcoin will pump next? So that's a great question, Papa Pachetto. I don't even know, bro. I need to learn how to say your name. But freaking, what do I think Launchcoin? I think we're gonna enter a period here where it's just gonna be so explosive, in general, and usually you'll see a few coins pop off on these different chains and launchpads. So yeah, I would expect some coins, at least a few runners to do well on Believe app. I know there's Dupe. I know FOMO. This guy FOMO. Um, Guys like him are actually launching. Oh, oops, did I unshare my screen? I didn't mean to do that. FOMO are launching actual like businesses and stuff through the app. There's only a few coins I know on there. But to answer your question, uh, the fact that it's kind of blowing up and getting hot during this time where everything's going to explode, I wouldn't be surprised to see several coins do well on the Believe app. So Uh, uh, a membrane says they're doing a flywheel with buybacks with the fees. Okay. A membrane, let us know what are some of the bigger coins on the Believe app. I think there's Dupe is one of them. Yeah, 15.7 million. It looks like it's coming out correction a little bit, but yeah. But let's see. FOMO launched Believe University on Believe. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Believe University, he's doing like education stuff. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think a lot of coins will launch. I'm sorry, a lot of companies will launch tokens. How long will it take like the big brands to do it? Who knows? They'll probably waiting on like more regulatory clarity and slower to do stuff like that. But y'all got to bid Joe, best setup in the market. Let's go ahead and check Joe.
Joe, is that Joe on ETH?
Yeah, the OG
Wow.
Joe. Yeah, man.
This coin has been around for years now.
Yep. Launched in 2023, October 23, coming up on 2 years now.
Show. So we're gonna see a revival. So now we got ETH looking good. We're gonna see a revival on these. I remember these. This was Joe. This was Kikek, Mog,
Yep.
Pepe. Yeah.
Joe was
All
like
these.
higher than Mog for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Market cap.
Bitcoin. This is the ticker. Bitcoin was running.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Joe looks super nice, man. I remember we looked at this a few days ago. Shout out to Mr. Yellow. He's always repping for fucking Joe Coin. I remember he a few weeks ago, right down here, I think in May, you had told us to bring it up. But yeah, Joe's in a beautiful like big correction. Obviously, like a 7 month corrective channel, but yeah, I think everything's going to explode. Like Gambler said, ETH going probably back to all time highs will take a lot of these older coins back with it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Joe above 100 million plus. And it is amazing to see. Yeah, like Mog was right at the same place
Mm-hmm.
Joe was, and now it's 25 times higher, 20 times higher. So yeah, Mog looks great. A lot of these ETH coins are just looking super
What's
coiled.
what's Kikek at? Can you pull up Kikek?
Yeah, remember Kakek a few like last year before everything corrected was wow, it's down at 5 mil.
This
Let me go
coin
to
just
the ETH one. Hold on.
yeah, the ETH one. The ETH one. The
Yeah.
ETH is the original one.
Yeah, no, the it was just the second ago it was on like the what's it called? The wormhole or whatever. Um
Wow.
yeah, so I mean it's a deeper correction, it's still down 80 or 90%. But with how much, I think what's going to end up pushing memes like so much stronger and probably way longer than the last like 3 month bull run we saw is I think eventually we are going to see normies come back in. And I think like that's like a contested thing. I think a lot of time, like normies haven't really come into crypto in a strong way since like 2022, and I think a lot of that had to do with FTX, some other stuff that took kind of people a while to kind of trust crypto again, at least in the mainstream. But I do think, like we see every single cycle, there is going to be a time where normies kind of start to come in, and that's really going to push even a lot of these older coins like Kakek, that is at 5 million, probably back to all time highs. So I haven't been keeping up with Kakek, but doesn't look bad. It looks kind of how Joe does, but again, it's just a bigger correction and like a smaller market cap. But
So Bren, would you bet that when retail or normies come, that they're going to be interested in buying CT's bags, or do you think it's going to be more of a scenario where what brings retail back in is just this crazy viral moment that leads them to create their own coin, like what we saw with Chill Guy and Moodang?
amazing fucking question. I think it's gonna be both, right? Like uh, I think usually what these normie types do is there's going to be some that are in the trenches, right? There's going to be some people who are just like overachievers and who like to just dive right in. And I think a lot of people go to the trenches, but most normies are going to buy stuff that they still think has a lot of upside, right? Not like the big souls, big L1s, but they're gonna buy stuff they think have a lot of upside, but also stuff that's solidified, has certain just like bigger movements. So I think that's why I think a lot of people were saying, oh, normies are never going to buy SPX or Giga. Like I just push back against that hard. I think the bigger movements like SPX, Giga, Mog, that are the best at creating the best content, who have like bigger mimetic ceilings and like these big movements are going to get most of the traffic, right? And that with that being said, there is going to be normies that'll create their own coins and stuff like that. But I think most of the capital, whether it be normies or whatever, moves towards the strongest movements, the strongest cults, um, the best communities at creating content, all of that good stuff. And then as well as a big factor will be what's on Coinbase, what's easily accessible to these guys. And
Yeah.
again, you got SPX, oh, not SPX, Giga, Mog, Fartcoin now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
even you mentioned what's it called? Um, the squirrel, fucking
Oh, Peanut,
peanut, or you said peanut or something else a second ago? Uh,
Moodang.
Mudang, yeah, is Mudang on? It's on Binance. I don't know about Coinbase, but
Yeah, it's on Binance.
yeah, I think it'll be a combination of those three things. I think the coins that are kind of already established, but people think have a high upside still, and the ones that are on Coinbase that fall in all three of those are going to do extremely well. So I really right now out of those lists, like I really like Giga on Coinbase. Like I said, all as well as Giga Chad is one of the most famous memes of all time. Um, they have a movement attached to it as well, just like really attracts people who are into masculinity, into the gym. They have the Giga Fitness, which is like a whole other brand they're building on the side. Right now, like pound for pound, I really fucking like Giga. Like I said, on Coinbase as well. And then you mentioned earlier Bitcoin, ticker Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I really like ticker Bitcoin. I've been buying a lot of it this week. Still continuing to buy it under 100 million. Hasn't seen an all-time high. Really has been at the same price for fucking 2 years, which is nuts. I'm really bullish on that though. Again, time in the game and just the supply distribution that forms through this, these long corrections. Extremely fucking bullish on that. So yeah, I think ticker Bitcoin might be one of the most undervalued, under 100 million. Still so much fucking mind share. So I really like ticker Bitcoin. Really like Giga. Mog even though it's up a bit more than Giga, is still you got to see like these coins are still 3 or 4x from the all time highs. So I think this is the sweet spot. I think this is the time where they're up off the bottom. Fear is kind of dispelled, but they're still off 3 or 4x off the all time highs. I think this is the time to really, if you're considering them or you have dry powder to really accumulate some of these.
Yeah, I think that's a really good breakdown of like what you should be looking at. It's like what Gary Vee always says, right? And not or. So it's not like, oh, it's gonna be, the normies are gonna come buy our bags. That's cope. But it's also not this doomsday scenario where, oh, all our bags are doomed because Chill Guy and Mudang ran and now the normies are gonna make their own coins. It's like, I think it's important to consider both. Keep your eye on the pulse. Again, tune into streams like this, and then also pay attention to what's already got motion, what's already in front of normies, what's on Robinhood, what's on Coinbase, and if you do that, you'll have the best chance of catching the next runner. I love ticker Bitcoin though, man. I think it's super undervalued. I don't have any exposure right now, but that is literally that came out, if I remember correctly, around the same time that like Mog and Pepe did. I mean Turbo too. This isn't as OG as like Doge and Sheeb, but this was like the next wave of coins, of meme coins when we saw Pepe and Mog and Joe and Kika
Turbo, Kika,
Turbo, man. Oh
uh,
my, Turbo's still cooking, by the way. Turbo had like a crazy run
yeah.
randomly.
So actually, yeah, Can't Stop Me Now, who's our producer, is on the show with us now. Who just comment on that? He brought up the Turbo Toads. They just created an NFT project, which
Mm.
we talk about heavily on this show. That the meme coin NFT kind of meta, I'm super fucking bullish on over the next few
Mm-hmm.
years. The
Mm-hmm.
convergence of meme coins and like people having a digital representation, like NFTs, a tokenized version of their favorite community, I think is going to just gonna be a natural kind of fit. I think the NFT projects, like all meme coins, most meme coins, existing ones and especially new ones, are going to launch NFT projects corresponding, with the NFT. And I think if done the right way, will actually be symbiotic. If the NFT catches a wave, it'll be good for the coin and vice versa. So you're already seeing it with obviously Aeons, Project Aeons, which are the SPX NFT. You got Sproto Gremlins, which I'm probably most bullish on. By the way,
Yeah.
Project Aeon already creeping above 1.67 ETH,
Oh
um,
wow.
which is higher than Doodles, right? Creeping up on Azuki. This is
Wow.
what I'm talking about. A lot of these strong meme coin NFTs, I think, are going to be up there with, call me fucking crazy, but like up there with the apes and the pudgies and like everything else. And it might take a bit, but I'm telling you, the convergence of meme coins, which I think are just fucking getting started in the overall grand scheme of things, and then NFTs, which also are just getting started. If we have that kind of a bull run both at the same time, which I think is possible, meme coin NFTs are going to be real fucking explosive. So I have two of these Project Aeons that I was buying around October, November time. And then the Sprotos as well, I think have the chance to be maybe the top, up there again with some of the top NFT projects in the world. What I really like about a lot of these is, besides the meme coin NFT meta, is that these are 3,000 supply collections, meaning they're smaller than the 10K, most of the 10K projects. And
Mm.
Sproto specifically, their primary colors, which are really attractive to the brain, all these different things, they're all one of ones. Um, yeah, I'm super bullish on meme coin NFTs. To talk about Turbo though, Turbo Toads, they just came out with a NFT project, so bought some of these. To answer your question about Turbo the coin though, Gambler, like I did not expect this, but it's at fucking, what would you guess Turbo is at right now? I don't know if you can see the market
So
cap.
I know it had the initial run, then it dumped, then it ran to like I think 200 million, and then it died, and everybody forgot about it. And then last year it had, I think it was right before, or right at the beginning of the AI and meme coin meta. I guess everybody remembered that Turbo existed, and it ran stupid. I think it touched a billion, if I'm not mistaken, or some crazy 100 millions. And so right now I haven't looked at it in forever. If I had to guess, what, like 200-300 million?
Oh, you're spot on. 311. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Let's
let's go.
go.
Not
Let's fucking go. Yeah, no, I was surprised to see it still at 300 million. For those of you guys maybe who don't know, Turbo came out around the same time as Pepe. So obviously
mm-hmm.
in 2020, meme coins have been around for a while. Doge has been around since what,
Mm-hmm.
2014, 2015 or something.
Yeah.
And obviously that was the original meme coin. I'm sure that there was different meme coins, I think, that popped up in like maybe 2018, 2019 cycle, but it was pretty much Doge. Then in 2021, Shib came out. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Doge had that massive run. Shib came out, a bunch of other meme coins on a Binance Smart Chain, but really the only two that really survived are Shib, and Doge, and then like maybe like Baby Elon, like these random few other
Floki.
coins,
Floki.
Floki, stuff like that. Maybe four or five that really even held any type of market cap
Yeah.
still. And then transition to 2022, 2023, maybe end of 2022, Pepe comes out. And
Mm-hmm.
Pepe ran from, we had Bra on our stream here a couple months ago, but many people like him, bought Pepe, I remember, under like a few million. And that thing
Mm-hmm.
ran from, a few million up to, 10 billion or whatever it was, making, a lot of people extremely rich. And then you got Turbo coming out around that same time.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative around this one is it was the first, I think, the first coin that was fully thought out by ChatGPT, or like an AI chat box. So I think I think ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken, kind of conceptualized uh, the whole image behind Turbo and everything about it, and that brought it all the way up to, like Gambler was saying, over a billion at one point. And yeah, so Turbo's still alive. I wouldn't be surprised to see stuff like this run. I truly think we're going to see the strongest period that meme coins have ever seen. And as a result, I think a lot of these coins that people assume are dead are going to have a run. That's usually what happens in these bull runs.
Brian, we were talking about meme coin NFTs. Do you see a difference between meme coin NFTs that where the NFT came out first and then the coin was released, and or vice versa, where the meme coin existed first and was established, and then and then the NFT was released? Are you more bullish on either one? Do you not see a difference? What are your thoughts on that?
Another great question. What are some examples of some meme coin NFTs where the NFT came first, like like Pudgy?
Well, D Gods is like the first one that
Okay.
comes top of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
D gods, and then I guess you could consider like Pudgies
yeah,
as like that
yeah.
if you consider
But
Pengu as
he's
a
a
meme
good
coin.
one. Or
Uh,
Azuki, right? Anime with Azuki,
yeah,
or
okay.
Bored Apes with Ape.
That's actually yeah, it's a really good question. Um, so yeah, I'm really bullish on the whole social coin thing in general. I think that's kind of what Pengu and them are trying to do, where it's, I think right now you can consider them meme coins, but I think there's going to be a kind of a sector where it's like Luca kind of conceptualized this, and other people have in the past, but it's like social coins where essentially you have a brand, in this case Pudgy Penguins, And then they have everything that's going on, the NFTs, the toys, everything, and then they have a coin around it that powers the whole ecosystem. It's integrated in everything that they do. They do everything with the coin, right? It's just the center part of the whole ecosystem. I think we're going to see that not only with NFT brands. I'm expecting VFriends, my top NFT project, to do it eventually, but also I think we're going to see a time where other brands, you're seeing this with this whole ICM meta, right? I think it's going to happen. I'm sorry, yeah, ICM meta. I think it's going to happen on a big scale with normal companies coming to do that, big brands creating tokens to have like a marketing flywheel, and all of that. Where was I going with that? Fuck, just completely blanked. But no, the social tokens thing. Yeah, no, I think Pudgy Penguins is kind of pioneering this whole social token thing. I think there's going to be other brands that do it. So social tokens, I think, will be their own thing. To answer your question, what I think is more bullish, I think I'm really bullish on some of these projects that already have been around for a couple years and their NFT project that launches. Because I think whenever there's already an existing community around it that's been around for a long time, I think they're all the NFTs that come out on the coins that have maybe been around for a year, like the turbos and stuff, maybe a little bit early, but those are going to do extremely well. But newer coins, I think there's going to be plenty of new coins that come out with the NFT project at the same time that also will do well. So I'm not sure it matters too much to answer your question.
Yeah, I hear that. I think my perspective is tends to be I tend to be more bullish when the coin launched first and then the JPEGs came second, and I tend to be a little bit, I won't even say bearish, but I guess I'll say less bullish when the NFT project came out first and then the JPEG and then the coin came second. And my main reason for that is because I think NFT people are in love with NFTs, and then if you give them a token, I feel like that loop is less effective. I guess I'll say than the loop of if you have a token and a community's already rallied around a token, and then you drop an NFT. It's easier for that flow of holders from token to go to JPEG and kind of strengthen that community that much more, because again, I've mentioned before, I'm most bullish on like NFTs just as like a cult in general. I think that transition is smoother and more effective than the opposite option where you go from JPEG to token. And I think there are more examples of projects that have gone from JPEG to token that have not done so well and have been treated as just a traditional, airdrop that gets dumped. And I think there are more examples of original established tokens that then launch a JPEG collection where they've done well. There's exceptions for both. Pudgy is a great example, obviously, of a token that I'm bullish on, that where it came after the JPEG. But that tends to be kind of how I think about it. But I think in general they're going to do well.
100%.
Meme
No,
coin.
now that you break that down, yeah, I think the coins that launch first that have the NFT, especially the older ones like the Aeons and the Sprotos,
Mm-hmm.
are probably going to outperform. With that being said, yeah, I think all NFT projects existing are going to launch a coin, but very few of them are going to actually be able to create an ecosystem or have an ecosystem that is going to be actually sustain the coin. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
Pudgies are going to do it. I think VFriends are going to do it. I think Azuki, all these, all the only way that the coin or NFTs or anything are going to matter are going to stay thousands of dollars in price is if people give a fuck about the actual IP a
Right.
couple of years from now, right? Like Azuki's not going to be worth 30 or 40, $50,000 in 5 years if like nobody gives a fuck about Azuki at that point, right?
Right.
Who knows? Maybe they become artifacts, but what's going to matter is again like people, the real world, like these IPs actually becoming big brands in the real world. And I think Pudgies will be able to do it. Azuki, VFriends, some of these other ones, and the coins that launched are going to do incredibly well. With that being said, too, usually these almost always, when there's any type of airdrop, there's going to be a massive washout, right? Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's super bullish that we see Pengu, for example, have this washout during a time where the whole market's down, right? I think that's the biggest blessing. They kind of did the launch at the perfect time. because as we're seeing now, the whole market came down 90%. A lot of these meme coins, and then now conditions are improving. We're seeing Pengu do really well. So, um, yeah, I mean, it takes time. I think we're so fucking early in this whole meme coin NFT thing and NFT token thing that we just got to let this thing play out. But yeah, Pengu looks fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I think this goes back to all time highs. Anime. Have you looked at anime?
not in a while, but I can't. I don't think it's gonna be great. But let's see. I saw some.
189 mil still. Wow, it's still at 189 mil. This chart is wrecked.
I think
Anime.
you make a good point, though. I think eventually it'll be you'll have to do a little more research to kind of distinguish which came first, the chicken or the egg, the JPEG or the token, because I think it is a natural, especially in this administration that we're in right now under these standards and regulations for everybody to make a token. Um,
Yep. Yeah.
but
No,
then
for
again,
sure.
it's
Go ahead.
about it's
Sorry.
about no, my fault. It's about creating an ecosystem where it can survive, right? Not just dropping it and then it wrecks your whole floor. It wrecks your whole morale, and so it's about dropping it strategically. And a lot of projects can learn a lot from Pengu for sure.
Yeah, I think the Pandora's box like opened when Pengu launched, as far as like meme coin, or I'm sorry, NFT projects launching a coin. And I'm really glad we had this conversation today because I think that that is a really good question and something I probably need to even think about more after the stream. But I'm super bullish on any NFT meme coin NFTs that have time in the game, like Aeons and Sprotos. The fact that they've have a year plus already in existence, they've been distributed. Like supply distribution is so fucking is so underrated in general in both meme
Yeah.
coins and NFTs. So to answer that question more generally, I think I'm super bullish on any of these projects that have like a year head start. Like Aeons and Sprotos, I think are going to the top. A lot of the reason is because they've been out for a year and a half and have been able to develop good supply distribution and all that. So
What is that liquidity on anime? Is that 93K or is that
9.3K.
9K?
Yeah, I don't know if this is just a not the right pool, or I mean somebody in the chat tell me um, what
Yeah.
that's about, but I'd imagine this is just the wrong pool or something. But I just looked, there's no other pools either. So
You gotta be careful. I don't know nowadays. We saw Verse run yesterday, I think. Did you see that, Bren? That Verse coin
yes, I did look at that briefly.
ran to
Verse,
like 1.1, 1.2 million, but it was like crazy bundled. Like I saw a tweet that people were only, trading 2% of the supply or something like that.
damn.
I
Yeah,
don't know anything about this. I just saw it got on my radar because people are like, did you catch this? It's
looks
ripping
pretty
to a
pump
billion.
and dumpy. You got those straight up only green candles like that. This shit does not look fucking organic.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah, I
yeah,
didn't
I
touch
did
it.
see this last night. Yeah, this does look pretty pump and dumpy.
So you got to be
Um,
careful the way things are bundled nowadays.
yeah, for sure.
Distribution, like you said.
I don't know what the fuck's up with this pool, but like I told you guys earlier with Believe or the launch coin, number one, number one common factor between any tops or bottoms. I'm talking on crypto, stocks, gold, anything. The number one thing you'll see at a major tops and bottoms almost always is a long bout or a long period of consolidation. As you can see here, anime has been consolidating for almost 4 months now. Low key, I think I'm gonna buy some after this stream. Like I said, I'm super bullish on the meme coin NFT meta in general, and the fact that this has had that big washout that it needs to have, and that it's been consolidating for 3 or 4 months here, going into what I think is going to be a strong period for both NFTs and meme coins and coins in general. This might be a good fucking buy, even though it's at 200. Um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this at over a billion.
Yeah, it's nice consolidation. It's nice to see
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. I keep juicy. I keep not hitting your question, bro. You asked this 23 minutes ago, but we've been in a discussion here. Brent, are we still in for a bullish summer? Or do you think we can pump and dump after the Fed meeting coming up? Yeah, I generally think anything's possible, man. Anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen for sure over the next few weeks is bullshitting you. But I do think most of the time we do get a correction in the summertime, at least the last few years. Like we got this correction starting in March this year, and then in 2023 we got the correction starting in April. With that being said, though, this year the corrections, sorry, I'm not sharing the fucking right screen. uh this year, though, as you can see, the correction started in December, January. So while it's definitely possible that we could chop in June or July at this all-time high, I think what's most likely to happen is that we are going to have a strong summer because the correction happened early. Most of the time, correction happens in summer. This time, it happened in late winter, early fall. So with that being said, what I think is most likely is we just continue up from here. The charts, just looking straight at the charts, these look extremely impulsive. We saw a nice corrective channel right at the all-time high. We're impulsing right out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin just goes into price discovery and just doesn't look back, and it just goes straight to 130, 150, etc.
Well, I was going to mention this earlier when we first started the show. You probably saw that tweet from Kobe. Maybe not. This was months ago. Kobe said he's like the journey from 80K through 100K will be the hard one, and he's like the journey from 100K to two. I think he either said 200, but I think he said 250K will be easy. So again, hard and easy are relative. Play your bags accordingly, but we'll see. I kind of have some. I kind of have some faith in that statement. I think once we kind of crush this 110K level, I mean, obviously, then we're in price discovery, right? And like you said, all time highs. Some, it gets some people interested, but it's when you really crush through those all time highs aggressively that people are like, oh man, then they FOMO back in, and you get those ridiculous candles. So we'll see. Nobody knows, but be prepared for anything, right?
Yeah, this is the tweet I think you're talking about. He
Yeah,
said in
yeah,
November 10th of 2024, he was replying to Alistair, whatever this guy is. He said, the hard road goes from 80K to 100K. The easy road goes from 100K to 250.
yeah.
Which I think 100% agree with Gambler here that the conditions that we're seeing right now are exactly ripe, extremely ripe for us to just fucking go to 150, 200K. And I'll tell you why. It's because, again, like we talked about at the top of the show, Bitcoin's at $110,000 right now, literally about to smash all time highs. I think it's already at all time highs right now. And yet you look at crypto Twitter, bro, nobody is saying shit. It's a ghost town. There's like myself, Gambler, and fucking Kaleo saying anything like bullish right now. Like yeah, it's like the timeline's just fucking quiet, right? So the fact that people are so sidelined, fear or like the hype index is just as low as it can be, yet prices are here, countries are getting ready to buy, institutional adoption, regulatory clarity, all this stuff and happening at once on the horizon, yet hype and normies aren't even trading crypto at all. Like I think this is perfectly setting up for what Kobe's saying here, where obviously hard road from 80K, but I could see an easy fucking pump to straight to 150, 200. So
There was
uh,
another question we forgot to go back to too. Somebody asked, what do we think the next cult is going to be in
yes,
crypto?
yes, yes, yes. Definitely. Let's get to that right now. I want to catch up on the questions really quick. Which NFTs make more sense to buy, Solar ETH? To answer your question, Curry, right now I think a lot of the opportunities, especially the ones that have been around for a bit, are on ETH, right? For me, what I'm most bullish on is 2021 IPs like VFriends and the others that have been around for a bit, and those are mostly on ETH. With that being said, if there is an NFT bull run, I do think Sol is going to have a bunch of great projects as well. Right now, I mean, my PFP right now is a Sol NFT
Yeah,
with the Pond Fwag NFT. So yeah, I think a lot of these great coins, meme coins, are on Sol. So I think a lot of those coins will drop NFTs. And right now, to answer your question, Curry, I would say most of the opportunities are on ETH, but don't count out Sol.
yeah, it's funny. I would agree with you. And my PFP is a Soul PFP as well. So I think at the end of the day, it's less about the. I think we're entering a period or a transitional period where or we've been in a transitional period where it's less about buying a JPEG because you think it'll go up, and more about buying a JPEG for X, for an airdrop coming up, or because it gives you access to an alpha server, or because it gives you whitelist to another JPEG. It's like there's a lot of ways to win with JPEGs right now. That is not the way that you used to win with JPEG, where it was just mint and print. But I think folks saying that NFTs are dead are just not paying attention to the right places. I think we talked about it last show. Of like, if you're paying, one of the easiest opportunities is to pay attention to new chains. Again, we had Bad Buns go crazy. We had Dremelios on Abstract. So Bad Buns on Mega ETH, Dremelios on Abstract go crazy. Obviously, Hypeos is like the best example on Hype. Um, so I think there's opportunity. You just got to know where to look. If I'm answering your question directly, I'm probably more bullish on the ETH legacy JPEGs as well, especially like to Brent's point. Yeah, he pulls up VFriends. VFriends is one of the last, legacy at JPEG collections that we haven't seen drop a token yet. So I mean, there might be something there, and they're just not going anywhere, right? I mean, the communities, so they got a lot of good things going for them. So I would
Yeah.
probably, if I had to pick one, I'd look at ETH JPEGs. But in general, I'm kind of telling my folks to kind of just pay attention. I'm looking forward to Monad next. I think that's going to be the next one of the next big cooks. I think in
Where is
JPEG.
that at right now as far as like, because I know like they had Thread Guy and a lot of other like big guys like obviously marketing for them and stuff like months ago. Are they still in testnet? Like where how far along is that and like, where's the airdrop and
Yeah. So last I heard, they're definitely still in testnet. But last I heard was the internal team kind of felt like they went too hard and heavy. And they kind of did, right? I mean, if you remember, there was some FUD on the timeline about, oh, if you wanted to be in the Monad TG, which everybody wanted to be in the Monad TG because there was some airdrop that they got that was like worth a pretty penny. And then after that, everybody was like, oh, I need to be in the Monad TG. And then it became very farmy and turned some people off, but it was very effective. Got a lot of people on the timeline talking about it. Like you said, they had Thread Guy doing spaces. But what I heard was that the internal team felt that it was a little too much, too fast, and a little too inorganic, and so they've kind of taken their foot off the pedal a bit. Testnet is still live. A lot of people are still farming. There's no date on TGE or official launch of the mainnet. So take that for what it's worth. But that's why it's if it seems like they've kind of fallen out of relevancy a little bit, it's because they somewhat have. Um, but I think it's definitely something to still pay attention to and wait for whenever the time does come. Especially
100%.
now that we've seen Abstract not come and go, but kind of have their moment. And we've seen, I guess, Mega ETH as well, right? Because Mega ETH is still in testnet. Um, so that's one to watch as well. But Barachain, another one that kind of had its moment, now kind of on a dip, which might be a buying opportunity. But the next two, Mega ETH has a lot of attention right now. Monad, not so much. Um, so yeah, that's what I know. The
Yeah,
latest on
I
those
wonder
ones.
if a lot of these, and I assume a lot of these guys are probably smartly so, like rightfully so, like are probably uh, taking their foot off the gas at least for launch based on the market conditions. I would say, which is smart. I think maybe they're waiting for market, the market to, a lot of these conditions to improve. Which I mean, rightfully so, because I think a lot of these projects that launch into shitty periods don't do so well at the beginning. But with that being said, I think it doesn't matter when you launch. If your chain's going to gain TVL and do well long term, even if you launch in a bear, it should still do well long term. But yeah, I would be surprised if Monad kind of took their foot off the gas based on market conditions. Real quickly, like based on what you know about Monad, what sets it apart from a lot of these other L1s? Is it? I think it's really fast, right?
Yeah, I
Speed.
think it's just speed. It's just speed, which is like another one of those things that I'm not. There's going to be a million fast chains. So it's really just a matter. That's kind of what makes me not super bullish on Sol, because it's the whole thing about Sol, to my understanding, is that it's fast and cheap. And I think there's a million other coins that can do exactly that and that have done that. And it's really just it's gonna end up. I mean, Sol has a lot of culture. It's got a lot of solid diamond head holders, but I think at the end of the day, volume is king. And if for one reason or another, that I don't know what that reason would be, but if for one reason or another chain that is also fast and cheap gets volume, whether it's because of a new JPEG success or a new coin launch or because the president decides to launch his next coin there, whatever it is, I think I just don't think fast and cheap is the strongest narrative. But yeah, that's what I think it is with Monad. They're fast. They're fast, and I would imagine they're cheap as well. Um, so it's not something that I'm looking at as like the next. I don't know. It could be the next Soul. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I am bullish on freshly launched mainnets because they seem to have a lot of opportunity to cook.
Yeah, for sure. It just goes to show, I think, what it's based on is like, yeah, like you said, there's so many. There's always going to become a faster chain. I think there's like Say and Sui and stuff
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
are more faster even than Sol. But it's again, it's about network effects and their ability to make the right connections. A lot of it's luck. Like, um, I think Sol was kind of just positioned in the right place with the meme coin shit blowing
Yeah.
up. That could have been Sui, or that could have been any of these other ones. I think a lot of it has to do with network effects and the foundation's ability to build connections and all this different stuff. So I think, yeah, it's not all about speed. Somebody could create like just like Bitcoin. Somebody could create a copy of Bitcoin, but it's this Bitcoin has the network effects and the
Mm-hmm.
supply
Yeah.
distribution and everything. So yeah,
Ember Main says, Mega ETH testnet not incentivized. Well, he says, yeah, I'm farming Monad daily. And he says, Mega ETH testnet not incentivized, though. That doesn't mean that there's no drop, but he acknowledges it too. He says, I'm still testing the dApps in case they change that, which is, I think, a good idea. There's been a bunch of airdrops, examples of airdrops that weren't incentivized, right? And oftentimes, or at least a considerable number of those times, they've been some of the best cooks, right?
yeah,
So I think Mega ETH has shown that they have a presence, they have attention, they have volume, they can make things cook. Bad Buns was and is a great example. They're up to like half an ETH now. Last time I checked. Um, so remember that. Just because they can even say outright, "Oh, there is no airdrop." There can still sometimes be an airdrop. So
yeah.
something to consider.
Bitcoin Father, it's another question from a bit ago. Asked, what multiples do you think the overall market hits this summer? It just depends. I mean, what are you gauging? The overall market on, right? You're talking about Bitcoin, whatever. I don't know. I think it's going to be a strong summer, man. How many multiples it does, I don't know. I think a lot of these meme coins are going to go up, are going to pump extremely quickly as people realize, as people FOMO back in. So yeah, I think meme coins like the cult meme coins, SPX, Giga, Mog, the ones that have been down 50, 60% still are going to do multiples this summer. As far as the overall market, who knows? I'm bullish though. Pudgy is already making noise. Yeah, Pudgy's going nowhere. Did you see what's it called? Luca, he put out like a vlog that they're doing. The first one that they did, it's kind of like Daily V with what Gary's doing, but they're like it's documenting like the creation of Pengu. Like they had the first episode was like before the Pengu launch, and one of the founders was like, "Should we launch it on Abstract?" And then Luca was like, "No, it's not ready yet, so we just got to do it on Soul." And like a lot of this other cool shit. They're kind of documenting building from the ground up, which I think is super fucking cool. I'll check that out if you guys haven't seen that. I want to get to these collection. Oh, real quickly, I think the first collection to do this was Neo Tokyo with Bytes. Yes, great point. Super fucking bullish on Neo Tokyo. You know about Neo Tokyo?
It sounds familiar. What is that?
So obviously Alex Becker and Elio Trades, two people who I really have a lot of respect for. Fucking back in 2021, I think they started an NFT collection centered around the crypto gaming, right? And obviously, there was in crypto in 2024. There was like a little run in speculate like in the assets and the coins. And crypto gaming hasn't hit yet, but it's like a collective of I think it's like a 3,000. Let's look at them. 3,000. Or no, they have. Let's see how many Neo Tokyos. 2,000 supply. And like on the website, it's pretty sick. They call it like the fucking crypto gaming like Illuminati. Like a lot of the biggest gaming companies, crypto gaming companies have them and stuff. But obviously, right now, crypto gaming hasn't heated up yet. But yeah, it's an NFT project surrounded by that. I think right now they just I just saw because I have one. I bought back one back in October that they just partnered with AVAX, and I think
Wow.
whenever crypto gaming pops off, whether it's right away here in the next few months or 6 months, a year from now, um, I think this project will probably get a lot of perks and stuff like that, and probably do really well. But yeah, he brought up that Neo Tokyo. They have a coin called Bytes that you can actually stake your Neo Tokyo NFT for a certain amount of time, and then you receive a certain amount of bytes as well. Um, but yeah, good point on that. There's only 3% of the verse supply not bundled with the team. Damn,
Yeah.
they bundled
Yeah.
97%. That's
Now
devious.
you hit a Billi in 2025, baby. Get everybody talking about it.
Yeah.
On the topic of pudgy penguins, man, too, they're freaking everywhere, and they seem to do it so well. That Pengu Clash game, I got a notification today. I don't know if anybody here was watching it. I'm sure a bunch of you were. But it's the Telegram native Pudgy Penguins Battler, I think it's going to be. And they initially dropped the news on it. They have their own Twitter page, but they dropped the news on this maybe like a little under a month ago. And it is going to be Telegram native. And it was like if you signed up for the wait list, you got like some bonus points or reward or whatever in game when it launches. And then when they said when it hit 1 million people on the wait list, then they would launch. Now, as far as I know, they didn't actually launch, but I got notice today that says the wait is over. Pengu Clash goes live June 18th, which today is the 10th, so a little over a week. Time to clash. Um, so it's, they already got over 2 million signups. It might be a little overcrowded, but it is still Pudgy Penguins, and it might be an opportunity. Who knows?
So you
So
you might have already said this just a second ago, but do you receive like Pangu in the game? Is it attached to Pangu? Is there another
we,
token or?
we we don't know yet. All we know is that we were incentivized to sign up for the wait list a few weeks ago because they said once they hit 1 million signups, then the game would go live. And then also, if you signed up early, then there was a few tasks that you could do and accomplish. You started with like a bronze gift if you signed up, and then if you accomplish certain tasks like following the account, following this other account, linking your Discord or whatever, and then referring a number of people, you could get that gift up to gold. And so my gift is up to gold, thankfully, because I was able to share it out. But that's it. That's all I know. I haven't seen anything else, but it's getting a ton of attention online. Again, their Twitter page is getting a ton of attention. We know Pudgy knows how to build buzz, but it is over 200 people already signed up. That could be a lot, could be a little. We'll see.
200K or 200?
200, 2 million. There are 2
Oh, you
million
said
people.
two. Yeah, I was like, damn, 200
Oh my!
people. That's it. No, no.
No, no, yeah, 2 million people signed up already.
That's
So
nuts. You think that's just a bunch of people making multiple accounts? Like 2 million is sounds fucking nutty.
I don't know, maybe, but there's not too much incentive to do that just yet, right? I mean, all we know is sign up for the game. My head went straight to farm because I know that's been my only experience with ton native games has been farming, but they all have sucked in my opinion. I mean, respectfully, it's been like hamster click and just clicking games where you just click 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 click, or little ones where you have to check in and not fun. If there's any team that can make this fun and hopefully maybe worth our while with some incentive or something, because I got Pengu for doing nothing, right? I remember when Pengu dropped, I got Pengu just for being on ETH, and it was like everybody got Pengu. So they know how to reward people, they know how to make things fun, which is why I'm paying attention to it. But that's beyond that, that's really all I know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I'd imagine they have Pengu probably allocated for it
Yeah.
somehow.
Mhm.
Thoughts on runes and memes on Bitcoin? Honestly, I did not do shit with runes and memes, runes or really ordinals. I don't own any ordinals. So runes, I know from what I understand, are kind of dead. I know a lot of people might be bullish on the future, like of them as being like artifacts or whatever. But real quickly, what do you think about runes, gambler?
Runes. Oh man, that brings up a lot of emotions in me. I round trip my biggest bag on runes ever.
Really? How
But
much would you have?
that was like 50 grand I round tripped
Oh man.
on pups. Yeah, that
Oh
was
shit.
good
How many do
time.
you have? Was it just one?
Well, this was back during the pre-rune meta.
Yeah.
So it was back when it was essentially you could buy these ordinals, which are JPEGs on Bitcoin, and they would get you access to a airdrop, which was the rune airdrop when runes went live. And I did have a puppet at the time, and so I got airdropped a puppet pre-rune. But then I ended up selling my puppet and putting a bunch of money into more of these pre-runes, which ended up being a really good move. But then I was just overly bullish. I should have taken profit, and I thought we were going to see Binance and all this. I was seeing stars, and
Yeah.
yeah, round tripped it. So where we are now, runes are dead. They're dead. Ordinals are pretty dead. Um, but we're seeing a lot of developments. They're pretty dead. Volume is incredibly low. If you go on Magic Eden and you look at volume on some of these top 5 to 10 runes, it's literally 5 to 10K a
Yeah.
day. So it's really. But another thing that the flip side of the coin to consider is there's a lot of cultish communities on the Bitcoin side that want that to succeed. There's a lot of builders on the Bitcoin side that want that to succeed, including Magic Eden. Um, they've been really good at working alongside runes. They have a runes tab
Yeah,
on their
I was
Bitcoin.
listening to a space yesterday where with like K Money and a few others where I think the original like thesis was that Bitcoin whales like there's so much liquidity on Bitcoin that they're gonna buy you know buy the
I never liked that thesis. I never agreed with that. I'm still bullish, and I was bullish. I never liked that thesis.
yeah
I never ever bought into the idea that somebody that's been holding their Bitcoin for the past 5, 10 years is suddenly going to see a JPEG or a token and think, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. I never thought that.
I think what it depends on is that like whether people want to deny it or not, they like want to think that ordinals are like superior to ETH
Yeah,
NFTs or whatever, and like whatever they might be right, but I think they're going to be tied together. I think pups and these other ones will go up when meme coin conditions. I'm sorry, NFT conditions are good. Like I say this probably on every fucking show. Like conditions are everything in markets. Like you look at stocks, you look at crypto. It doesn't matter what it is. Markets very rarely is yeah, obviously there's outliers that move, whatever, but markets move together. When there's a big peak in the top in the stock market, you're going to see fucking Tesla and most of these companies in bear markets move down together. Same thing to the upside. I personally think that you can talk all you want right now, like Bitcoin whales are never going to buy it. I think Bitcoin whales aren't buying pups right now is because NFTs just aren't going up. Most doesn't matter if you're a Bitcoin whale or you came in and bought Sol yesterday.
yeah,
Most humans just follow the crowd, right? To be honest, and
yeah,
I think Bitcoin runes. I don't know about runes because I don't know shit about runes to be honest. But I think ordinals and the pups, pups are ordinals, right? Like, are they, or is
yeah. The
that
puppets are ordinals, but then there's also pups, which is the rune token
oh, the coin. Yeah,
associated.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, pups like I think the ordinals will do well when NFTs in general. The NFT conditions are good, and that's how I see it playing out. I don't think just like when crypto meme
Yeah,
coin conditions are good, you see coins on Sol run, you see coins on ETH run. I think the same thing's going to happen. NFT conditions are good. There's an NFT bull run. You're going to see Bitcoin NFTs run just like the ones will, and you probably will see a lot of these Bitcoin whales who their Bitcoin's at 200K and they're up fucking 10 million this year. Probably will buy a fucking pup because they're going up or because everything's going up.
yeah. I could see that. What was I going to say? Oh, the other thing to consider too. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Volume is low, right? But the communities are there, and one example of that is the market cap for Dog right now, which is the number one meme coin on Bitcoin, is $460 million, 467, so closer to $470 million. That's more than Mob, right? So not to say nothing against Mog, but just something to consider that it's not zero, and there will this is some indication that there will be a bid eventually, and those who are patient, which is the same story with everything. Some of the most ridiculous pumps I've seen have been in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe because it's Bitcoin, and the degens over there are willing to gamble more, or maybe just because it was a new protocol when runes first dropped. It was stupid pumps. Also, the last thing I'll say is we're seeing a lot more integration of these coins onto Sol and other like normie friendly apps like Slingshot and Moonshot, um, where there are liquidity pools on Solana for pups, the token, for Billy, the token, for dog, the token. And that allows folks to trade just like they would for any other Sol token, right? There are now liquidity pools where if you can still trade on Bitcoin, and the teams kind of frame it as it lives on Bitcoin, but we're using these other chains to supplement. Um, but builders are building, essentially, is the punchline, and the communities aren't dead. And so there's a lot of things in runes that you can look at and kind of draw similarities to other coins that have been considered dead and see where there could be some potential upside.
Now, where can you even look at? And I want to get to the questions here in a second. So if you guys said something on chain, I did see your comment. I appreciate you, brother. It means a lot. I always see you on here, so thanks for the support. Papachetto says, I think NFTs minted in 2021 are going to be considered relics in 20 years' time. Yeah, especially a lot of the art and the relevant IPs. Where can you even look at runes?
So some of them you can look at right on Dex because they have their soul liquidity pools now. Like pups, you can look at dog. I'm pretty sure Billy, but you can also just go straight to if you have trouble finding them on Dex tools, you can go straight to Magic Eden. Magic Eden has charts for them right there, handy, and you
Holy
can look at.
fuck.
Yeah, man.
468 million. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
468 million.
it's not
Liquidity
dead.
pool at 156K though. That's just the soul one, right?
That's just soul. Yeah, that's just soul. So but this again, CT timeline will have you thinking that these things are at zero. This is more than Mog. Look at that chart.
Damn.
And
Look at
again,
this
to be
correction
fair,
here too. It's beautiful.
that chart, this is again the soul pairing, right? So it starts from when they bridge to soul. It's not the full story. If you want the full story, go on Magic Eden. You can see the full story. But that's not a dead coin. You know,
Is it a is it attached to a is it this one? Wait, how do you view is it
you're still sharing Trading View.
oh fuck. Um this is not the same one, right?
Yeah.
They have
So just no, go on. So click Bitcoin, and
yeah.
then yeah, click Bitcoin, but you're not looking at JPEGs. You're looking at runes. So you got to
Yeah,
go on
wait.
Bitcoin,
Yeah, that's right. Um where the
and
fuck
then you
is
got
the
to. It
ruins?
is
Oh,
yeah, runes there.
there it is. Okay, wow. So yeah, 4.26. Let's go to the weekly. Yeah, this is still pretty fucked up too. But yeah, I can see what you mean. It's still 2x off all time highs.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, on this deck screener chart, that shit looks nice, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think overall, just like we were talking about with JPEGs, that the meme coins on Bitcoin probably do well, just like when everything else is. I want to catch up on these questions real quick. I think NFTs,
yeah.
yeah, we already saw that one. Should we expect a bull run anytime soon? You're talking crypto. Yeah, man, I think we're just at the start. First of all, I think overall, we're just in a bull run over the last 20, the last 2 years since 2022. And what we're just seeing over, this summer, we saw a correction on the higher time frames, correction last summer, and correction in the summer of 2023. I think what this speaks to is that we're likely in a new era where the 4 year cycle, I think, is probably over in the sense that we're not going to, in pretty much every other cycle, right? You saw Bitcoin go up for 3 years, and on the fourth year, you saw a big correction from Bitcoin. For example, in 2020, on the fourth year, it corrected from 20,000 all the way to 20,000 all the way down to $3,000. Went up. Same thing happened in 2021. On that third or that fourth year, it came down 75%. What I think is likely happening, and again, it's super evident, but what we've seen the last few years is instead of getting a perfect 4 year top where Bitcoin comes down 75% for a year and then goes up again, I think Bitcoin's likely to probably look like the S&P 500 has the last 10 years with more of an up
Mhm.
only trajectory, right? Where it's going up only like going up 150K, maybe comes down from 150K down to 120K, but continues to go up over the next 10 years instead of seeing these massive bear markets like the past. So to answer your question, brother, I think we're at the beginning of another bearish or bullish period. Another, we're coming out of one of these corrections, like I'm telling you about, and I think we're going much fucking higher. So I think we're entering another bullish period. To answer your question, um, and yeah, are either of you into stocks, as shares, or only crypto? I've dabbled in stocks a little bit, brother, but my background started with Forex back about 10 years ago. Quickly shifted mostly to crypto. But yeah, no, I haven't really gotten too much into stocks. I've traded options and have some stock holdings, but yeah, that's not my expertise. Max, who obviously Jeremy, is obviously big in the equity world.
Yeah,
Brent,
we talked about a Circle last week that had their IPO, went ridiculous, did like 400, 500% off the, it was like what, $27, $30 listing up to like $120. I don't know what it's at right now. Robinhood continues to just grind up and do very well. MicroStrategy, another one, it looks almost just up and to the right. I saw a tweet from PO from the Nifty Portal Gang or the Bodagos crew. He said MicroStrategy is holding like what, like 500K or something Bitcoin, which is literally like 2% of the supply. Um, GameStop just started adding Bitcoin reserves. So what we've seen, at least the pattern, is that in general, crypto adjacent stocks are outperforming traditional stocks, and companies that are putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet, like MicroStrategy made popular, are doing really well as well. And then Robinhood, it's very difficult to be bearish on Robinhood right now. It's almost like the normie Coinbase. I'm almost probably more bullish on Robinhood than I am Coinbase. That being said, and also there's a lot more things you can do in terms of ways to make money these traditional stocks as well. One example is selling covered calls, right? So if you don't know what covered calls are, it's essentially selling the option to someone else to purchase your stock holdings at a higher price. And you're selling that option to them to sell to them at a higher price. Say you have Robinhood at $50 and you're selling options to sell half of your bag at $75. Well, that's plus 50% for you. But if Robinhood doesn't hit that, then you collect on that. They call it a premium, which is whatever, $200, $100, or whatever they paid you to have that option to purchase. If it hits $75 by a certain time, you collect that premium. If it hits that price, you sell plus 50%. So you got to be okay with selling. If it doesn't, then you keep the premium. And so a lot of people make regular money off of just holding their stocks by just selling what they call covered calls. And there's a lot of different options you can do.
yeah,
That being said, I'm just crypto, man. Like I got into crypto and I almost never looked back. But there's a lot of things you can look at, right?
yeah, for sure. Brent, does Rect have the community aspects you normally look for? Yeah, I think Rec's great. I really like. Yeah, that's another great one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that when you say meme coin NFT, I don't automatically like didn't come to my mind. Rect, even though it's probably the most successful, like, I don't know, one of the, it's up there, right? But
Yeah,
it's completely
yeah,
different because of what they're doing with the drinks and everything like that. So that's a great one, Rojam. I'm really fucking glad you brought that up. I think, yeah, Rect is going to be right up there with the meme coin, meme or the NFT coins. Just I'm super bullish on uh Rect guy is really, I think, really underrated in the sense that the art is fucking super sick. I've always loved the art. Then you got Mondo and OSF
mm-hmm.
Rect, which are great operators. I'm super. I think it's all about the operators long term for these NFT projects that are like maybe not the meme coin ones, but most of the NFT projects. And then they're building in the real world with the drinks. I think when conditions improve with the NFTs, especially, I expect both Rect Guy NFTs and probably the coin. The coin's already doing well, but to continue to do really well. So Rojam, yeah, I think that's one I didn't even think of when you talk about meme coin NFTs or NFT meme coins or NFT coins, right? So yeah, to answer your question though, 100%, brings up, it checks a lot of these boxes that we're talking about in the stream about meme coin NFTs and more. The fact that they're building in
Mm-hmm.
real life with the drinks, stuff like
Yeah, Rect is dope, man. It's like they've managed to find a really incredible and effective balance between targeting normies, targeting crypto Twitter, and balancing their JPEG with their token. It reminds me of like Gary V's and creating demand for real world product, right? It reminds me of like Gary V's books when he dropped the books with the book games
Yeah.
and he broke records, right, with how many books he sold. And I know a bunch of people who are a little bit more OG in the space still have closets full of these books. And Rect did something similar with his drinks, but for one reason or another, um, Rect seems to have more favor, at least within the crypto Twitter community. It seems to be cooler. It seems to be more um, favored in at least some ways, which is a tough balance to strike. So they're really fun to watch, and wouldn't bet against them for sure. Yeah, you might be on mute, Ren.
God damn it. No, but thank you for telling me that, or else I would have gone on a 3 minute rant without being on. But no, Rect, yeah, at all time highs today. Another coin where, again, you have launches of these coins, usually, especially when it's an airdrop to, I think, probably to the holders of the Rect guys. You're going to see a washout. It's all about what happens after this washout. And what do you see here? What I tell you guys, number one thing you're going to see at a bottom, major bottom or top, consolidation, consolidated for a month and a half. Boom. So again, another one where I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I'm super bullish on OSF Rect, someone who I've, one of my favorite accounts on Twitter for a while. I have a little bit. I had a Rect guy, and I think bought a bit more. But yeah, I wish I would have bought a fuck ton down here. It's up
Yeah,
up 10x from the bottom in what is that? A
still
month?
not even at a million though. And actually, oh wait, no, it says my market cap behind. No, I'm tripping. It says market cap 130.
You're looking at the liquidity. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm like, geez, this is a buy.
Still is, I think, though. 129. Yeah, it's obviously never like buying stuff at all time highs personally, but it's I think zooming out over the next 6 months, I think it's probably going way higher with market conditions good.
Mm.
But yeah, Rojam definitely checks the boxes. Hell yeah, I'm bullish as fuck. I agree with you're still early. Curry says Bitcoin almost reached 110K, but Sol could not even hit 170. When will we see 200? It's impossible to tell, man. Like we see at the during these corrections or out of the corrections, sometimes Bitcoin will move first, sometimes ETH moves first, sometimes Sol moves first. But if you look at these charts over a few year period, they all fucking move up, right? I think that the same shit's going to happen here. So just be patient, man. I don't know if Sol moves right away. Could lag like ETH did for a year and a half, for all we know, right? It's just you want to have a long term outlook on these coins and just not sweat what happens in the short term. Is the best way to go about it. Yeah, I also think Mask has amazing cold potential. Yeah, Mask is another good one. Been hearing a lot on stream about JPEG. How do I get into trading JPEG? So where you can at least start looking at a lot of these collections, right? Just like anything, man. I always advise doing, a bunch of research, watching, videos about it. Start following accounts on Twitter. But the first thing you can do is go to Magic Eden and JPEGs, obviously, are NFTs. They're on different chains. Where you're going to find most of these NFTs, especially the older ones from a few years ago, are going to be on Ethereum. But as you can see, you can look at all NFTs from all different chains here. If you want to just start, at the top ones, you can go to the top ones on floor prices. These would be the most expensive ones. Um, and yeah, this is where you can browse NFTs. It's an NFT exchange. And that's where I would start. Just start looking, start doing research, start watching YouTube videos about the history of NFTs. And I think personally, there's going to be another kind of hype wave or cycle of NFTs where a lot of these older existing projects are going to have resurgences. But as well as we'll see new NFTs pop up, a lot of people speculating, a lot of hype, a lot of stuff going around. So yeah, that's where I would start. Go to Magic Eden. My personal biggest bet in NFTs, I think, is VFriends. Again, due to I think all of these NFTs. at least most of them that aren't punks and aren't the meme coin NFTs, are going to be driven by the operators, like the people behind them that run them, right? And I
Yeah.
think what the fuck? Why does it say 4.2 floor price? VFriends, I think, has the best operator, or at least the most, the one I'm most bullish on. Super bullish on Pudgy Penguins and a lot of these other great operator driven ones. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I can hear
Okay.
you.
This is lagging out Magic Eden. I want to make sure the Wi Fi was still working. But yeah, VFriends Series 2, I think would probably be like for me, like if you're looking for an NFTs like under a couple $100, I'm super bullish on VFriends Series 2. There's a lot of ones for, lower prices. Everything's pretty much down from where it was a few years ago. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Mega ETH testnet is not incentivized though. I like that Mega ETH keeps incentive, but yeah, you can go and do that. Um, Crypto Toad bias. There were riddles and those that had enough to solve. Pudgy, yeah, Pudgy on Instagram when it has like 1 billion views on the gifs, which is fucking nuts. I've been trying to get on live. It wasn't working for me. You mean like trying to watch the stream, bro? I'm glad you're able to see it now. Exactly. When NFTs are okay, we go back up. Thoughts on the Sol ETF being approved sooner than later? Can Sol reach $400, $500 this year? Yeah, I mean, $400 to $500 this year. What is that, like a 3x? Possible for sure. We've seen times where Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, especially in the past, do multiples in a few month period. So while I say it's possible, I would say over the next year, I could easily see Sol at 400 to 500, which is only what, like 50% above the all time high. So 6 months, who knows, man? It's impossible to time these things. Who knows? Maybe Bitcoin goes up for another month and then chops until the end of the year. We have no clue. But I would say over the next year, I could easily see Sol at 400 to 500. Conditioning dictates market behaviors. Yeah, conditions are everything. Looking like NFT season might be around the corner. Yeah, I agree. Crypto adjacent stocks like Robinhood, Master, Gambler. That's sound advice, bro. Yeah, I agree, man. I think we're just beginning. Like we're going to see companies go public in the crypto space, but at the same time, you're going to see a lot of companies like Gambler was saying, like Max is saying, that adopt Bitcoin strategies where they hire people that are literally their job is to best find out how to best acquire Bitcoin, ETH, a lot of these other assets with their balance sheet. Great analysis so far, brought to you by Brand Gambler. Yeah, for sure. And I didn't do this. I should probably done this earlier in the show, but if you guys are still on with us, really fucking appreciate you. People who are on these different streams, whether it be with us or any of these other great people doing streams or watching YouTube videos, like during a time that's super quiet, that like doing that and watching interviews and doing that for me personally during times of like low activity in crypto has really led to like the biggest breakthroughs for me. So if you're on streams with us here, like it really says a lot about you, and it really sets yourself apart from a lot of these people who not only sold their assets kind of at the bottom, but also are just completely checking out. So shout out to you if you're on with us, especially an hour and 35 minutes into the stream. If you could please retweet, like, um, bookmark, turn on notifications for the stream. We do these twice a week, Tuesday at 1 p.m. PST, and then Friday a little earlier at 10 a.m. PST. We think of this as a one-stop shop for NFTs, crypto majors. A lot of the time, we have also Max Crypto, my boy Mike here, who's decades of experience in the traditional finance realm. Bought Bitcoin and ETH super early too, and he's been talking about this vision that he has that not only are crypto assets going to go up, but the technology itself is going to completely take over the world in the sense of gaming, finance, all these different aspects of our world in the real world are going to integrate with crypto and blockchain. And that anybody who are investing in these right assets, who have patience, who stay positive, are going to do incredibly well. So super blessed to have you guys on the show with us. Like I said, we'll be back on Friday. We're not going to get off quite. I don't. I'm not. We're not going to get off quite yet. I'll probably be on here for another 20 minutes or so. But yeah, definitely follow Gambler as well. Been super fucking excited to have him on the stream. This is his second show with us. This guy brings great energy. He's been doing a lot of his own streams for like how long now, Gambler? How long have you been doing streams in Twitter Spaces?
I just started streams like within the last 3 months or so, 3 4 months. It was going really well. Been doing spaces since man, dude, since 2021. I think
Wow.
my first space ever was funny enough a VFriend space.
Okay.
So shout out to VFriends, got me really locked in, and still one of my favorite communities. So I love it, bro. It's like can't get enough of it ever since I got here. I love this space.
Hell yeah. Definitely give Gambler a follow. He's going to be on the show with us every week as well. So yeah, going to have some interviews or like kind of guests on the show lined up as well. So there's a lot of great stories here in crypto Twitter that you would only know about if you're like, really locked in that I think need
Mm-hmm.
to be told. So look out for more guests. If you guys have anything you want to see, anything to improve the show, any suggestions, my boy Rojam here has just been so great every day. Every show he'll message me with some suggestion or some or something. So if really appreciate you, Rojam. Anybody else, you guys have any ways you want to improve the show? Anything that you want to see us look at? Without you guys, there would be no show. So uh, go ahead and send me a DM or just comment on the stream. Really happy about this stream. Learning a lot from you. Appreciate you, Noel. Can hear you, Brand. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you guys as always. Did Mike ever make his cameo on Fox? Yeah. So I put out a tweet or I replied to my tweet earlier. Uh, Unfortunately, today I think one of the hosts of this show that he was going to be on, America Reports, I guess the Sandra Smith, was out today from the show. So she's the one who's interviewing. So I guess they're going to reschedule it for either next week or in the next few weeks. So we will be streaming that probably on the stream. If not, we'll be watching a replay. Definitely go ahead and shoot Max a follow as well. So much value from this guy. I'm so blessed. I've learned so much from him every time I talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, is already made it. He's huge in the traditional finance realm, but he's a huge objective to just help people get a grip, to ignore a lot of the fear and the bullshit out there. When the whole tariff thing was happening last month, he was on these streams telling us that not only like to ignore the bullshit, that this was going to blow over soon, but to back up the truck, and that was the time to buy. I mean, anybody who followed that advice is up fucking massive now. So definitely check out his page as well. He's actually coming out with a Bitcoin documentary that has a lot of the big people in the movie industry. I think people that have worked on Law and Order and a lot of huge shows working on it with him. So super excited for that coming from him. Soul J says, "Yeah, V friends." Um, Ibubi, same here. Keep on going, Bren. More grease to your elbow. Shout out to Gambler and Max. 100 fucking percent. Yeah, if there's any questions, charts you want us to look at, I think generally things are really going to pick up from here. I think, of course, at any time we could slow down and maybe this doesn't happen tomorrow, but most of the time, what happens, you look in the summer of 2024, um, down right here when Bitcoin hit that all time high during the next few months, you saw everything explode. So I think that's what we're headed for, especially now that since this correction happened, so much has happened with countries getting ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So much happening in the background that I think we're just really going to accelerate here. So buy and hold the assets you have conviction in, and lock the fuck in. I think.
Yeah, can you hear me, Brent?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? All right. A couple of things. You mentioned countries buying. Pulling this up real quick. I think it was Paraguay, but let me confirm. Um, do I have it here? Maybe I forgot to bookmark it. But I'm pretty sure it was Paraguay that just announced, the country of Paraguay, that they're making Bitcoin legal tender. Um, yeah, yeah. Bitcoin Archive posted it. The post is from Paraguay presidential account announcing a Bitcoin reserve and legislation as tender appears. Uh, oh wait, appears to be fake. Is this fake? Is this telling me
Yeah,
it's fake?
I'm not sure that I did see this yesterday. I'm not sure, but I did see
Oh yeah,
some
this is
good
fake.
beef
Yeah, this
there.
is saying it's fake. Yeah, that's fake. So that's fake news. My fault on that.
No, you're
Uh,
good.
but yeah, things are happening globally in general. Whether despite that news, that fake news. But I also wanted to echo what you just said, man. Shout out to everybody in here. I saw a few of you guys shot me follow. I was right back. I'm literally chronically online, so I love doing streams like this. Love interacting on Twitter. So don't be a stranger. Say what's up. Um, what else was I going to say? Hype, dude. I talked about it earlier on the show. It's in price discovery. It's testing all time highs. So it looks good. I just pulled up the chart. It's at 42, 42.40, 42.30. We'll see if it decides to retrace a little bit and consolidate some more. This is a fake out, or if it decides to push higher. I mean, fun to watch. I like this chart a lot.
Yep, just pushing right above another one that just pushed right above all time highs than the last few days. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all based on market condition. Bitcoin keeps,
Yeah,
going up. I think hype's just going to go fucking nuts.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I saw that too, but not sure. Yeah,
110K Bitcoin.
let's fucking go. Let's, yeah, ETH. Yeah, ETH's going fucking nuts here too.
Yeah, 2,800 testing.
Yeah, I think it's gonna smash three real quick. It just blows my mind. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping, but does it just seem like the timeline is just fucking dead?
No, it does. And like I said, I think it's harder to find, accounts that actually provide good insight, solid alpha, but that's why you have to treasure the ones that you do have that you can kind of look to. And my experience on Twitter is becoming more and more where instead of scrolling the timeline, I'm literally just scrolling the accounts I have notifications on for. You really got to be careful, man. You got to be careful with what kind of content you consume, especially in a market where we can be at least more vulnerable to our emotions taking control when we have money on the line, where every post is trying to get you to now everybody's monetized, so everybody wants you to engage with their posts, and oftentimes FUD is one of the best ways to do that. So manage the content you're consuming, manage the streamers you're following and the accounts you're following. um, but yeah, I think a lot of people are sidelined. I think, unfortunately, I think CT is losing its edge. Not to say that there isn't game and insight to be found on CT, but um, I think we have to be more and more considerate of the accounts that we follow and the takes that we pay attention to. As unfortunately, CT gets more watered down and people get more and more incentivized to just spew nonsense on the timeline for the sake of clicks,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
100%. Like what you said, like Twitter's in general is just fucking amazing. I think it's a town hall, but it's just amplifies like the crowd, like it just right. And I
Mm-hmm.
think like we've talked about on the stream, the general theme you'll hear Max say a lot is that the crowd, unfortunately, the crowd in anything, especially investing, is if you're following what everybody else is doing, you're usually going to lose. So definitely, especially when it comes to market speculation and price direction, you want to listen. Be respectful of everybody. Obviously, listen to people's point of view, but like he said, very few people should you like take like just direct advice from like blindly or not really blindly. Take blind advice from anybody, but really like narrow down the amount of people who you actually listen to. Like I said, when it comes to price direction, a lot of these things. I think time in the game is a big one. I really respect people who have lived through these different cycles and who had decades in the game and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I would look to. 100% valid gambler. So much PTSD on the timeline. Oh, fucking Mr. Yellow. Shout out to you, brother. I don't know if you're still in here. He clipped part of the stream that where we're talking
Y'all
about
gotta
Joe.
bet Joe. Best setup in the
Fucking
market.
amazing. Thank you for
Let's go and
that.
check Joe.
Joe.
Damn. Shout out to you. Yeah.
Is that Joe on ETH?
Yeah. The OG. Yeah, man.
this boy.
Shout out to you, bro. I really appreciate that. I got some good views on that in the last hour. Um, Shout out to you for clipping that, man.
Yeah, it's a good clip.
Yeah, feel free to fucking clip any of this stuff. I'll retweet it and follow back. But yeah, definitely shoot everybody on the panel. Follow myself, Gambler. Shoot me a DM. If you have any suggestions for the show or you just want to say what's up, I try my very best to get back to everybody, but I'm fucking super excited despite the lack of activity on the timeline. I think now is like not only obviously during these times where everything's about to pop off is the time to lock in, but I think the biggest time in history. Again, we most people only care about if price is going up right now, but if you look and zoom out what's happening, we truly are going to see like an adoption cycle, like what people were talking about 10 years ago from Bitcoin and crypto. And I'm fucking ecstatic. There's literally no other industry in the entire world I'd rather be a part of right now, both, financially and just like I'm fucking, I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited as fuck every day to wake up. Always something new going on. And I think that's going to get even more amplified when there's actually normies coming and trading this stuff. Like Gambler, you said you were obviously around back in the 2021 NFT bull run, but how much you were dabbling in coins back in 2020 as well, right? You were telling us last stream.
Yeah, I first got in with Doge. Doge was the
Gotcha.
first thing I ever touched, and that was via Robinhood. That was via Robinhood. I got Doge on Robinhood. Yeah, so I started with the coins. I didn't touch JPEGs until it was just in time to be exit liquidity at the end of 2021. And then, but thankfully, I managed to mint VF2s. So I got in for VF2 at I think it was that beginning of 22. And book games too. I went heavy into book. So VFriends was like my first really hard push into NFTs, and not that I never look back. I'm kind of everywhere, but I realized that was like where my passion was for sure. I like the JPEGs.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody who's around, in the 2021, the NFTs, but especially with the crypto back then, knows how fucking exciting and how much shit's going on every day especially when like the general public's trading crypto. So,
Man,
I can't imagine what it's going to be like. Fuck, I just realized I was muted. Um, but what I was saying is like anybody who's around in 2020, 2021 knows how fucking exciting this shit gets when like the general public's like trading crypto again. I think that's what's coming. Everybody says to lock in. That's like super fucking cliche, but now is the time to get invested in the conviction assets you have and just pay attention and continue to get better and learn and all that. Because I think crypto is, I think truly like everybody's going to be using digital assets, maybe not trading, but like just using the technology. So super fucking excited. Can you guys explain the unbelievable pump today? It's just buy pressure taking over, bro. Like I said, that we've been coiling up. Prices been super tight, and it's just there doesn't have to be an explanation for every price move. I think you're seeing a lot of institutions buy Bitcoin, crypto. That's probably what's pushing price up the most. But we were just due for a big move after 3 or 4 months of correcting. Um, yeah, we need a year like 2021. I don't know. Again, unpopular opinion. I think 2021 happened when it was just like a small hype cycle. People weren't even using the technology. I think if games, especially like crypto gaming, pops off, like I don't think I think the next NFT bull run will fucking dwarf the last one because the technology itself is actually going to be used. I just don't see a world where NFTs are huge and RWAs and crypto gaming where there's not an NFT bull run that's bigger than the first one.
Bren, do you think the metaverse makes a comeback?
Yeah, right. So again, I'm not like a huge, tech person in general. That's not where my background's at, but I like to listen to people who are and people who are just business minded or who are just veterans. I hear people like Gary Vee who's been saying for years that we're just too early on it, right? Like at least in 2021. But then I talked to people like Can't Stop Me Now, my buddy here, who is keeping up with the whole AI world. And from what I understand, that I think that when VR and AR and AI starts to really strengthen here, that the metaverse will 100% be a thing. Like I think we're already in the metaverse now with like being on Twitter and everything, but I think the next maybe not the next step, but there will be steps in the middle will be where it's like a physical thing, right? Where people are gonna create their own identity. And maybe we have to wait till VR becomes stronger or whatever. But yeah, I think for sure the metaverse in general is just a next natural step. The technology is just probably not there yet. But yeah, during this next NFT bull run, you're probably going to see the land and all that shit, pop back up. But how far does like an actual metaverse fucking start to become big in the mainstream and stuff? Who knows? But I think it'll be a thing eventually.
That's when I'm selling it all, man. If motherfuckers are buying land, digital land again, I'm selling it all. I'll tell you that right now. It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if GTA 6 like drops like
Yeah.
these big games drops like any crypto type stuff, a coin, NFTs, like I think that right there just immediately legitimizes quote unquote metaverse. Where I think I don't know when I was thinking metaverse a second ago, I was thinking like full like VR, but it doesn't even have to be that. I think it could start with gaming, like games, like they already are. But yeah, if
Yeah.
GTA 6 or like another or a crypto game, a native crypto game blows up in the mainstream, I think that's gonna push the metaverse thing like really quickly.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Aura, yeah, I'll check Aura real quick. I don't know why I just stopped sharing my screen. Uh,
Ember
Aura,
says, "You go check Aura."
yeah, 39. Okay, that's not the right
Wow.
Aura. That just launched, I think, or no. Much. That is the Aura, right? Yeah, that is Aura. What the fuck's going on?
What the fuck?
Um,
That is some candle.
did I just saw FOMO tweet on Aura is up 3,500% in the last 24 hours. A super cycle is just what is going on? 1 million to 50 today. I'm not seeing anything. Anybody explain this? What's going on?
Ember said, "No one knows what in the cabal is going on."
What in the cabal? Yeah, for real. What the? Yeah, no, I'd imagine it's just some type of obviously somebody's buying it. I would maybe something with the team. Who fucking knows, man? Who
That is
fucking?
a candle, man. That is a candle. That is an
I
impressive.
mean, you hear teams doing buybacks and like doing shit, but like a 50x candle is that's serious. Yeah,
Wow.
all right. For this latest move, yeah, the market is moving right now. Yeah, way too early for digital land unless you got time to hold. Yeah, I don't think until like there's a game out there that uh, really gets like millions of users and shit. I think that's when the digital land and like those games will be huge. But of course, when you have digital land in like crypto games where like there's 10 users and they're all there to make money off the to farm the whatever, yeah, that's of course that's why all those lands are worth zero. Crazy to see though that other side, man. That could be one that pushes the metaverse thing forward, but haven't heard anything from
Haven't
them.
heard anything, but worth noting that they seem to be trimming some of the fat over there, right? They let go of moonbirds, which we didn't get to talk about last show. I don't think so, but I'm bullish on moonbirds. If Spencer Ventures is behind it, I love Spencer. He's been riding with the Bo Douglas crew for a while. He made one of the I think we did talk about it. He made one of the most amazing trades with the Pudgies. What, a year or two ago. So bullish on the Moonbirds, but it seems like you guys and they let go of Moonbirds. They let go of 10 KTF forever ago. Um, what's the other one? Was it the game, the hyper
Punks.
no, punks? Yeah, punks, and then heavy metal too, right? I mean, I don't know if they're still holding that IP or if it's
I
just kind
think
of on
that
the
one got
shelf.
sold too. Yeah, it just raises the question. I mean, who knows? I'm not in the background of these companies, whatever, but I did hear a few months ago that I don't know, they're not running out of money, but like that maybe they may be selling off stuff to, you know, not, maybe obviously to become more focused, but also maybe they may need the funding. Again, I'm
Yeah,
not like trying to spread rumors. I don't know the back end of these companies, but interesting to see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're selling off assets maybe to become more focused or do they need the money or whatever. I do think it's interesting that they bought Moonbirds, what, like a year ago? and I don't know. I think the punk thing is interesting, and I think it's cool that they put it into like a trust and stuff that they're not gonna like bastardize it or whatever. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of people expected a lot more from the other side so far, and I really hope it does do well. I tried it. I do have a mutant, and like I tried the other side a few of the playthroughs, and I think it's cool, and I think eventually somebody will do it where you can have NFTs in a metaverse and shit. But yeah, I don't know. No
And
one
then
knows.
Ape DAO too. They're talking about shutting down Ape DAO is what I saw on the timeline.
Yeah, I
Um,
did see talks of that. Yeah, no, Ape. A lot of people were disappointed with that. A lot of people used a lot of the grants to enrich themselves and do certain shit that maybe wasn't advantageous to everybody or
yeah,
whatever. But yeah, that'll be interesting as well. Added to Dextro.
Fartcoin 1.36 cooking.
Um, where did you put it? Oh, okay, I see. All right, share this tab. Aura is now officially listed on Dex Toro. Yeah, Dex Toro is. I don't think that's not. Yeah, yeah. I don't think that'd be the reason, maybe necessarily, but yeah, I think yeah, for sure, definitely. I don't see anything else for it. Yeah, I don't know. Probably somebody just some big buyback or something. I don't know. Is the liquidity super low? Not really. Nuts. Fucking ETH is moving. Let's fucking go. Dude, I remember Max said this on our stream a few months ago that people aren't going to be people are going to be checked out and people aren't going to get interested again until we're at like 130K. And it's like dead ass what's happening.
Yep.
ETH is exploding when nobody has any over to sell. Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking exciting. Again, make sure to like, retweet, comment on the stream, turn on post notifications. We're going to continue to do these streams no matter the market conditions, especially as more people join. Expect right now we're doing these 2 streams a week. Like I said, Gambler is really, really great at the Twitter Spaces, so I think we may add 1 or 2 of those when the time is right. So we can bring up some of you guys so you guys can ask questions live. That'll always be fun. But I might actually start trying that on the stream. I was talking to my producer where we can put out a link on the EV Mux. And as long as you guys aren't fucking maniacs, we can bring you up on stream.
Yeah.
And no, I'm just kidding. We love, even if you're a maniac, we let's hit 1K, guys. Invite your friends. Yeah, definitely share, retweet, like the stream. 996, right under 1,000. Really appreciate you guys for being on. We'll be back on Friday. Anything that we didn't talk about that's on your mind, Gambler?
The last thing, and I think I forgot to bring it up last week too, is Pump Fund token. Any thoughts? What do we
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. I want to hear your thoughts first since you brought it up. What do you?
It's supposed to be like $1 billion raise, right? $4 billion valuation or something like that. A lot of people, a lot of FUD on the timeline about no airdrop mentioned. Um, I don't know. I think I'm not in the camp of people that thinks that Pump Fun is this evil villain extractor in our space. I think they put out a product that works, and I think if they didn't do it, someone else did, or someone else would have. So I think it's not the craziest thing that they take their revenue in and sell it for fiat. Uh, in terms of it, no airdrop being mentioned, I'm not kind of getting too emotional about that just yet because one, they'll probably do an airdrop, and then two, I'm just generally, I even if they would have announced an airdrop, I generally don't get too excited about the announcement of an airdrop just because they tend to be underwhelming in general. So overall, I think it's cool for the space to see Pump Fund kind of moving forward. I think they'll be able to raise the billion. I don't know what they'll do with it. I don't really. I'm kind of neutral on like what comes after, but I think it's good for the space. to see a team that put out a good product get attention and hopefully bring in more funds to create a better product for their users. That's kind of it. I'm like fairly it's a pretty lukewarm take, but I think it is something worth covering.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, from what I've seen, I think they did it initially. There was just they were talking about the public sale, but I think there is mention of, or at least from what I've seen the last few days, they probably are going to do an airdrop. From what I've seen, which I think is going to make sense. They're doing kind of like a hybrid model where it's an ICO and then they'll probably airdrop to users, which I think is smart. They're actually trying to raise money. Like that's the whole thing. Is they're like you're raising $1 billion at like a $4 billion valuation or whatever. So they're trying to build a treasury of $1 billion so that they can build out. What I think their vision is again the whole live streaming thing, which I don't know if a lot of people notice they like quietly put back after
Yeah,
taking it away. And a lot of people are fudding the whole fucking live streaming thing with the token. Um, and are kind of thinking small about it. But I honestly, I think with the world and where it's going, tokenization wise, and I think the whole model is that obviously on Pump Fund, it's surrounded around your token, and the creators are collecting fees. I think obviously there's tips and shit too, maybe, but they're collecting fees off of. They're getting money off of the fees when people are trading their coin. So it's not necessarily based on, obviously, they probably hold a large supply, but they can make money just off people trading the coin back and forth. And I could see a model like that, especially if they incentivize big creators to come aboard, getting big. We could be super fucking early. It could be 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
But I think at a $4 billion valuation, what we'll probably see with Pump Fund, like I personally probably won't buy any at a $4 billion valuation.
yeah,
I think it's pretty nuts. Of course, that 4 billion with the whole market could just fucking rip. Bitcoin could go to 250K from here, and that thing just goes to 10 billion instantly. Me personally, I would be interested in buying it at 4, but if it got that post airdrop, washout like we showed you today on Pengu and Hype and all these other ones, then say it goes below a billion somehow, like I would be a buyer there. I think Pump Fund, even where it's at now, with how much fucking revenue it's bringing in, hundreds of millions of dollars. I think like 170 million a year or something. I think it's a big money maker. I think a lot of these big institutional investors coming in are going to really value that kind of thing. So yeah, I think Pump Fund. I'm super bullish on Pump Fund. Probably the Pump Fund coin over a few year period. I could see it, being one of the biggest infrastructures on Solana and in crypto could be 10, 20, 30 billion for all I know someday. I don't really like it at 4 when it launches
yeah,
quite yet, but I'll put it I'll put it this way: like I wouldn't go like super hard, like put a fuck ton of money in right at 4 because again, it could just take a drawdown at 50 or 60. But if it does give us a correction, I definitely will be buying pump fund coin.
yeah. I think that's a good summary breakdown.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We didn't talk about that last on stream. Yeah, who knows? Does Pump Fund become the next fucking Twitch? Who fucking knows? But I think the fact that they produce so much revenue and yeah, I think it'll do well over time. With that being said, we're coming up over 2 hours. We will be back on Friday. Hope you guys have a great rest of your fucking week. I would just stay locked in. I would, use a lot of your free time right now, learning as much as you can, whether that be with charts, whether that be wallet tracking, whatever the fuck your forte is. Now is the time to stay focused and spend time on getting better every day. I think digital asset industry is just getting started, and those who are patient and buy the right assets and really lock in are going to do incredibly well. So appreciate you guys for being on. We'll see you on Friday. Let me know if you have any suggestions for the stream. Before we head off, Gambler, anything else, brother?
No, man, thanks for having me. Shout out to you and the whole team. Shout out Ember. Shout out Curry. Shout out Base Newell. Shout out Cloudy. Shout out Ellie, who was in here earlier. Shout out Soul. Shout out Juicy Plays. Infinitas. Shout out Valentine, who was in here earlier. Shout out to all of you. Brent said it earlier, but this is nothing without you guys, and it's been really fun hanging out these last couple sessions. Looking forward to more. Also, higher, very important.
Way fucking
Higher.
higher. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
brother. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Friday, 10 a.m. PST, and talk to you